I have an idea. Would you like to play some catch?
Yeah, sure. Toss it. Oh, my clavicle.
That seems oddly specific, but are you okay?
Oh, yes. I'm okay. Let's keep playing. At least it's my non-throwing arm, so I got this. Ready?
Ah! Also my clavicle. Ow! More specifically, the joint where the clavicle comes in point with the sternum. Ow! There might be tissue damage. I might need to go to the hospital. Oh. Bleh.
Welcome to Windy City Fantasy Football, Week 2.
Week 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to give everybody a scare. No, that was for comedy purposes. We're fine.
Wah, wah.
Wah wah. Yep, season 2 of our show, but season is underway.
Yes.
Week 1 football's back, so what's the big thing to note for coming into week 2?
Coming into week 2, we wanted to update everybody on the team names. When we last left you, there was a debate on what your team name was going to be.
Yeah, thank you for everybody who responded in the comments or just decided to text me. You know, all you rebels out there who just don't like to conform to the rules. Yeah, so we got a couple interesting suggestions, but why don't you just start off?
Well, Team Atlanta Carson is now Dream Team for a TD. So he's going with that. And Delaney is Can You Digs It? I dig it. I like it. And did we already have Austin's? Cohen the Distance?
No, we did not.
I like it. Cohen the Distance. It's good. And then for you, you're deciding.
Well, I went with the good old late 90s super group Chumbawamba and Nick Chubb and came up with Chubbawamba.
Are you going to get down and get knocked up again? Get back up again? Get back up again. You're going to get knocked down and get back up again.
Yeah.
Never going to keep you down.
Got it.
That's our new team names, everybody. So glad everybody got on board. We've got some good ones going. And so that somebody's will look good on the trophy this year. Okay, so now let's go over who our winners were last week from week 1. We'll wrap it up with a tidy little bow. So last week the winners were Sam came out on top. He beat me. Sam came out on top with the most points. He had 165.7 points, which is a significantly high score.
Lindsay beat Emily first week. She had second most points with 160.9 points.
One of our newbies, Rick, pulled off the win. He had 158.6, so he's in third overall and got his first win in the new game.
Another new person who won the first game, Delaney. She came in with 137.1 points to win her first matchup of her career with the Windy City League.
Sue came from behind to win on Monday Night Football, thanks to Drew Brees, among others. So Sue beat Matt with 130.7.
And then to round out everything, Michaela came out and won the final matchup when she scored 123.4 points. So all of our winners scored over 120 points this first week. So we're seeing a lot of increased scoring from last year.
Yes. In fact, really, when you look at the matchups, there really only was one loser last week, wasn't there?
Well, there were a lot of people who lost, but I have a feeling you're insinuating something about a specific team who we like to know as...
Brown Bears.
Brown Bears.
So So Jameson, aka Brown Bears, was kind of the biggest loser. He scored 82.3 points. So he was the only player the only one under 100. In fact, the next closest was Matt with 120.2 points, which is a 37.9 point difference between last place and second to last place. That's a lot. That's a lot. And then, even worse, Sam won. Sam had more than double Jameson's score. More than double. There's a lot of things in life that it's okay to have less than half of, more than double of, like.
It's okay to have less than half of a rat problem.
Less than half of a tumor.
Less than half of something you don't like.
Mm-hmm. Or double your wealth, or double your
fun. Or double the flavor.
Double mint gum. But definitely not double your son's fantasy football, or double your father's fantasy football score. Great for Sam. Not so great for the Brown Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's a big gap. 83.4 points.
How many points did he score again?
82.3. It was a lot. Yeah. All right. So on that, how's everybody feeling about our new PPR point system?
Yeah, if you got any comments or suggestions, or if Jameson just wants to tell us how much he doesn't like this episode, just feel free to leave comments down below in the comment section, and we'll be sure to take out the best ones and, maybe talk about them next week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We got higher scoring stuff. I don't quite understand how the scoring goes yet. It's obviously mainly for running backs and wide receivers.
Receptions are at a premium.
Obviously. Because I had a quarterback that had 5 touchdowns. And, he had a good score, but it wasn't great. New scoring! New rules. Fun times! Guess what? What was my favorite segment last year?
I don't remember.
Really? Booms.
Oh, busts.
And big outs. It's back for at least occasionally on our little talk show here. Booms, busts, and big outs. I always liked this segment. So we're gonna start with the big outs that we didn't actually get to talk about last week. Was Austin and Sam, before the season even started, had 2 big outs. Shortly after our draft, Andrew Luck retired.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam had that big out to start with. And also, I think in the next day or two, also Lamar Miller then tore his ACL. And so then
was done for the year.
Austin had a big out to start the year. So those were the ones we didn't get to cover before. And moving into this week.
The reason our sketch in the beginning was kind of topical because there were not 1, not 2, but 3 different players who actually broke their collarbone, clavicle bones last week.
2 of them in the same game.
So, essentially, we'll start off with the big one, which was Nick Foles, new quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was actually on his touchdown throw.
Yes. He got to do basically 1 good drive.
So he's been put on IR, so he's not going to be back. As soon as he could be back would be the second half of the season. So he's going to miss a lot of football, and Jags fans are really not happy about that. But neither is Sue, who had him as her backup quarterback. So
good thing she didn't start him last week, though.
That's true.
And then also Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs. He's out for several weeks.
Yeah, his is actually a lot more serious because, just like the sketch, he actually separated the joint between where his collarbone met his sternum, and according to some reports I've been reading, there was actually a big chance that he could have damaged some blood vessels, his esophagus.
He was rushed to the ER.
Was rushed to the ER to make sure that got set back in place by a surgeon. They didn't have to actually perform surgery, but they just needed to make sure that someone was there to make sure everything went back in place correctly. So really nice that he didn't have anything really serious happen, but it does look like he's going to miss some significant amount of time in the next couple of weeks. 4 to 6, I believe, is the timetable for his return.
Yes.
And then thirdly,
Devin Funchess,
whose new home is now in Indianapolis with the Colts.
Yes.
So the Colts go from having no Andrew Luck, and now they've also missed out on their big wide receiver free agent that they signed in the offseason. Funchess, again, he looks like he's going to miss probably the better half of the first half of the season.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, if you've got any of those 3 players, you're probably looking for some backups or somebody off the waiver wire or someone on your bench to pick up the slack on your points for those guys.
Yep. Some other notable injuries was Tevin Coleman has a high ankle sprain and he's out multiple weeks. Who else did you say had a high ankle sprain?
Well, it looks like Joe Mixon has a high ankle sprain.
Yes.
It doesn't look like he's going to play. I mean, he could play this upcoming week. It depends on how he does in practice this week. So whoever's got Joe Mixon, just make sure you're keeping track of the injury wire. And they should announce something on probably Saturday as to whether or not he's going to be able to go. He might be a game time decision. We don't know yet. Mm-hmm. And then, just found out very recently, Chargers tight end Hunter Henry has a left knee problem, so he's going to be out for a couple of weeks now too. So
and he joins Darius
Geis.
I will get that name right eventually. Darius Geis also out with a knee issue.
Running back for the Redskins.
Yes.
He tore his ACL in preseason last year, even though he looked really, really good right before he did it. And now he's have another knee injury that he's got to worry about. So, injury bug could be biting him. So early on in his career, we don't know if that's going to be a theme for him moving forward, but unfortunately he's going to miss some time.
Yep. So this is actually a little insert segment here. There's a big move instead of a big, there's a big move. Antonio Brown is now a Patriot.
Yeah, the saga continues.
Never ending.
Oakland Raiders traded Pittsburgh Steelers for him in the offseason, gave up a couple of draft picks to get him, and then the drama ensued. He needed a new helmet. He managed to freeze his feet to the point of having frostbite. And, just a whole bunch of just bad stuff. So eventually the Raiders cut him right before week 1.
He asked to be cut.
He did ask to be cut.
Because he, posted online a video of, the letter or the call. Anyway, from the owner. He asked to be cut and was promptly picked up by the Patriots.
So he apparently, unfortunately, has some more legal trouble that we're not going to get into. But as of right now, he looks like he might suit up this week 2 for the Patriots. So we'll have to see how that pans out.
And so that has implications for, say, Rick, who has Tom Brady, who would then be throwing to Antonio Brown.
More implications for the folks who have other Patriots wide receivers right now. That means that there's going to be a big target being added. So a lot of those other guys might not see as many targets as they saw in week 1. So we'll have to see what happens.
So that's a big move. And then, so our booms that we had, our surprises, kind of talked about it earlier. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere. 5 touchdowns throwing. He didn't hardly run at all. And he actually threw those touchdowns to Marquise Hollywood Brown, who was undrafted. Carson has picked him up off of waivers. Good job. He beat me to it. But he also kind of came out of nowhere. And I guess, fun fact, he is actually Antonio Brown's cousin, I think. Relative of some kind. So, anyway, but it's pretty cool to see the first 2 catches of your career are touchdowns. And another, boom from this last week, actually, Monday Night Football, Deshaun Watson, he did not disappoint. He put up a lot of points, and although it was a loss, he did have a really, really good game. So chances are he's going to be a stud quarterback and live up to the hype coming into this year.
And Sammy Watkins out of nowhere.
We're gonna gloss over your Sammy Watkins.
Nope, Sammy Watkins had a huge week as well, and should continue to do so since Tyreek Hill has clavicle issues. And then Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook, big running back weeks, which was somewhat expected, I think, of Christian McCaffrey, not so much for Dalvin Cook. The Vikings definitely looked a little more run heavy. So.
And, I mean, that's not even all the players that have big weeks. I mean, John Ross III for Cincinnati had a huge week with a couple of touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson.
That's who I think that was supposed to be originally.
Back in Philadelphia. Yeah. He had a big week.
Huge week, yep.
And then Austin Eckler, running back, who is playing in place of Melvin Gordon right now for the Chargers. He had a pretty big week, too. A lot of players putting up big points in this PPR system. So you'll have to be keeping track of those players. A couple of them are on waivers. I think they've been picked up by now, but we'll have to see if they can.
Always important to watch the waiver wire.
We'll have to see if they can repeat those performances or if they're going to just be these up and down players throughout the year.
So, all right. So moving on from my
booms, busts, and big outs.
Yes, from my old favorite segment to maybe my new favorite segment. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Gee, I wonder where this is going.
Hindsight's 20/20, but this is who you should have played. So these are players that had over 20 points and were on a bench. Yes, this segment is inspired by me. Go figure.
Jen had the whopper of all of them. We just mentioned how Sammy Watkins had a monster game. He almost scored 50 points by himself, and he was sitting
on my bench.
On your bench.
And I would have beat Sam had I played him.
Yeah, that's
49.8 points.
I think any player who has a player who almost scores 50 points sitting on their bench, if they had swapped that person out, yeah, that's a victory.
Yep. Coulda, shoulda, woulda for me.
Well, I'm no better because apparently I not had only one, but dose players with over 20 points. I had Deshaun Jackson's monster game where he almost scored 40 points.
38.4.
Yep, sitting on my bench. And then Michael Gallup for the Dallas Cowboys, who scored
25.8.
25.8.
So yours adds up to 50.
Oh, mine adds up to
more than 50.
60
some
points
so
that are sitting on my bench.
So, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yes.
Carson also had Tyrell Williams on his bench, which would have been 25.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, you can see where he was thinking that. The Oakland was not supposed to be good this year. They lost Antonio Brown. So
really thought they were going to be a dumpster fire on Monday night, and they were not.
No, they actually looked pretty good. And then Delaney had one too. Larry Fitzgerald again.
Timeless.
We did not see
that coming.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald is timeless. Like everybody loves Larry Fitzgerald, but I wouldn't have started him.
No,
at all.
The Cardinals really aren't a team where you think there's going to be guys who are going to just put up big points week to week. So
right. So that one was surprising.
Was
so he had 28.3 on her bench.
And then Michaela.
She won anyway, but
she still had Mr. John Brown from Buffalo. He scored 28.3 points in their come-from-behind win at the very end there.
Yes.
Big points on the bench. Yeah, normally those equate to losses, but in some instances, I mean, it looks like two of the three people who managed to still pull out victories there with Delaney and Michaela. So that's probably a trend that won't continue if you have big numbers like that.
I'm going to guess all of those players are going to be in the game next week.
Well, just be careful because, people have been known to have big week ones and then tend to fall off at the rest of the season. So you're going to have to keep track of those matchups. Who are they playing? And, a lot of stuff goes into whether or not you should be playing those folks. But in some cases, yeah, it looks like those guys are probably players who should manage to work their way into your starting lineup, at least your flex moving forward.
Yes. Last. Now that we've gone over last week, it's time to look forward to this week. Week 2, fantasy football.
Championships are not built in 1 week, so plenty of football left to go. So we're going to see who's playing week 2.
No need to give up on football yet, right?
I think a lot of Bears fans might disagree, but you know.
Well, I am wearing my Brave shirt because I'm done with football for the year. It was fun. The Falcons made me believe that I'm going to go back to watching baseball. So, there's my contribution.
You have little faith.
Yes, we looked terrible. So, our matchups for the week, we've got 3 different kind of segments here. We've got going for a win, which are teams that have losing records, 0-1, 0-1, playing each other. So that's Carson versus Jen. And Carson is currently projected to win. And Jameson versus Austin, one of the Rappaports, will get their first win. Who will it be? We don't know.
Is Jameson going to come from behind and take all his aggression from week 1 on his oldest son? Wait and see.
We could find out. And then next is going for a loss. Teams with wins that are playing each other.
Yeah, one of these teams is going to have a solid hold on first place.
And somebody else is going to be knocked down a peg.
Right down
1 and 1 to the middle. Yes. And that's Delaney versus Michaela. And Delaney is currently projected. And Lindsay versus Sue. And Lindsay is currently projected. So. And then we have
the splits.
Winners versus losers.
Who's going to go? Are we going to see teams go 0-2 and teams go 2-0? Or are we going to see some 1-1 teams right in the middle of the pack, keeping things interesting?
Much like cream rise to the middle before they can get to the top. Yes. And that is Sam versus Emily. And Emily is projected to win even after Sam's monster week last week. So that just goes to tell you it could be a boom week or it could be a trend. We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Projections are just that, projections.
Stay tuned.
They do have to play the games in order to get those points.
Yes.
So.
And then Rick versus Matt. And Matt is projected to get his first win. But we'll see if Rick has something to say about it.
Yeah, Antonio Brown to Tom Brady. Could that force Tom Brady to become a monster and have a huge week? Who knows? We'll wait and see.
Yes. So that is our matchup.
I'm just hoping for Jameis Winston to put up more than 10 points. I really am.
We'll see. So that's our week. We do have a different guest star here today. Luckily, our son is in bed for a change. But I think you'll get to see a guest star here at the end. And I think that's all we have for this week. So, I'm just going to pan the camera over there.
Come here, Fuzzy Tompkins.
Fuzzball. Fuzzball was taking a nap. Fuzzball was taking a nap. Oh, he's like paper. No, thank you. Look, football. So, more guest stars. Here you go.
All right.
We still do have another one named Trooper that's yet to make an appearance.
Hopefully this gets out before the Thursday game. Thursday is Buccaneers versus Panthers, so if you've got those guys on your team, make sure that you're checking out your rosters and get those set before Thursday night. Otherwise, we will see you...
NFC South representing.
Yeah. Will the Bucs get their first win, or will the Panthers get their first win? We'll find out. So have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.